Right, welcome to the story of the Three Little Pigs, told by me, Beefy. And our story begins, as all good stories do, with the words once upon a time. So if you're all sitting comfortably, then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there lived three little pigs. Unfortunately, the three little pigs didn't have any money. Their family was very poor. And one day, Mama Pig decided that she couldn't keep them any longer and she would send them out into the world to seek their fortune. So off went the three little pigs. They decided that the first thing they must do is build themselves a house each. So the first little pig, he met a man who was selling some straw. So he decided that it would be a good idea to build his house from straw. So he bought some straw from the man, and that's exactly what he did. He built a house of straw. By and by, a big bad wolf came to town. The wolf was very hungry, and guess what his favourite food was? Yes, that's right, pork. So the wolf decided to visit the first little pig in his house of straw and see if he could get himself some breakfast. So the wolf went up to the door and knocked on the door, and the wolf said, little pig, let me come in." And the little pig said, "No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin." And the wolf said, "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." So the wolf huffed and he puffed and he blew the house in, and he ate up the first little pig for breakfast. Then he went on his way. The second little pig met a man who was selling some sticks. So he thought it would be a good idea to build his house from sticks. So he bought some sticks from the man and he built his house. By and by, the wolf returned to town, and this time he was even more hungry. So he decided to visit the second little pig and see if he could get some breakfast. So the wolf went to the house made of sticks and knocked on the door. And the wolf said, little pig, let me come in." The little pig said, "No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin." So the wolf said, "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." And the wolf huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he puffed, and he did blow the house in, and he ate up the second little pig for breakfast, and off he went into the countryside. Well, the third little pig, he was pretty smart. He was probably the cleverest little pig, and he met a man who was selling some bricks. So he thought it would be a clever idea to build his house of bricks. So he bought some bricks and he built his house. By and by, the big bad wolf returned to town. This time he was really hungry. Really hungry. So he went to visit the third little pig in his house made of bricks, and he knocked on the door. And the wolf said, little pig, let me come in." And the little pig said, "No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin." And the wolf said, "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." So the wolf huffed and he puffed, and he huffed and he puffed, and he huffed and he puffed, but he could not blow the house in, because the third little pig had made his house of bricks that were very strong. So the wolf was still hungry. The wolf thought, right, if I can't blow the house in, I'll have to somehow trick the little pig into coming outside. So he went away and he sat down and he thought for a while, and then he came up with a cunning plan. So he returned to the third little pig's house and he knocked on the door. This time he used his most polite and friendly voice, and the wolf said, little pig, my friend Farmer Giles has a great big meadow, and in the middle of the meadow is a huge apple tree, and there are apples lying on the floor everywhere. You can just help yourself. If you would like, you can come with me and bring a big basket, and in no time at all we can fill up the basket with some tasty apples. And if you would like to come, I will call for you in the morning at 10 o'clock. Well, the little pig, he thought, yeah, he would like some apples, but he didn't trust the wolf. So the next day, the little pig, instead of waiting until 10 o'clock for the wolf to come calling, he got up really early, and at 8 o'clock he went to Farmer Giles's field, and he took a big basket with him, and he filled up the basket full of tasty red apples. In fact, he was filling up the basket so much that he forgot about the time, and he saw the wolf coming towards the field. So he climbed up the tree and he hid in the branches of the apple tree. The wolf wasn't very pleased. He had been tricked by the little pig, so he was in a bad mood, and he was kicking around the apples at the bottom of the tree when all of a sudden a great big red apple hit him right on top of the head. Boom! The wolf yelped in pain and ran away, and another apple whizzed past his head, and the wolf ran even faster. And he thought he heard some laughter coming from the tree behind him, but he dared not turn around, because now apples were flying around his head thick and fast. So the wolf, now he wasn't very happy at all. He would have to come up with another plan to try and trick the little pig. So he sat and he thought, and he came up with another cunning plan. So he returned to the house of bricks and he knocked on the door, and the wolf said, little pig, I know where there is a fair in town, and it's so much fun. There is candy floss and rides and things to do. It will be great if you would come along with me, and we can spend the day there having fun. If you want to come, I will call for you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and we can go to the fair together. It's on the top of the hill in the middle of town. So the little pig thought, yes, he would like to go to the fair and buy some candy floss and go on the rides and have some fun, but he still didn't trust Mr. Wolf. So the next day, the little pig got up really early, the same as before, and he went to the fair on his own. He didn't wait for the wolf. And the wolf was as true as his word. The fair was so much fun. There were things to do and rides and things to buy, food and all sorts of treats. And the little pig, he had so much fun that he forgot about the wolf, and he saw him coming up the hill. Whatever was the little pig to do? He thought for a second, and then quick as a flash, he jumped into a barrel and he rolled himself down the hill. The wolf was coming up the hill and he saw the barrel coming towards him. He couldn't get out of the way. He turned and he ran as fast as he could, but the barrel was going so fast it ran straight over the wolf, and the wolf had his face pushed into the mud. Moreover, the wolf thought he heard some laughing coming from inside the barrel. Of course, it was the little pig laughing. He'd tricked the wolf yet again. So the little pig ran all the way home, and the wolf was left with mud on his face, and now he was very angry, not to mention still hungry. So he thought, right, that's it. Somehow, some way, I am going to get that little pig. So he went to the little pig's house, and he thought he would climb up onto the roof and climb down the chimney and get the little pig and eat him for breakfast. So he climbed up onto the roof, climbed down the chimney. The little pig was inside, and the little pig, like I said, he was pretty clever, and he knew that the wolf would try to do something to get into the house. And so he lit a big fire in the fireplace, and he put on a big pan of water to boil in the fire. Well, the wolf came down the chimney and he slipped straight into the big pan of boiling water, and he scalded himself so badly. He jumped up and he ran out of the house and he ran off into the distance, and the wolf was never seen again. He'd been tricked again by the little pig, and the little pig lived happily ever after. So that's our story of the three little pigs. Thank you for listening, and until next time, it's goodbye from me, Beefy.